I'm a 35-year-old office worker, and my husband Kevin, who is 6 years older, and I have been married for 9 years. Right now, due to some reasons, I'm living with my mom. Let me explain how I ended up in this situation. 4 years ago, Kevin and I built a house. At that time, Kevin had just changed jobs, and we didn't have much money saved or a big income. Kevin used to work for a big company, but he faced constant hidden bullying from his boss. This caused him sleep problems, and eventually he couldn't go to work anymore. He saw a psychiatrist, took a break for about 3 months, but when he didn't get better, he quit his job. After that, we got by on just my salary. Kevin didn't work for 3 months, but slowly started to feel better. He began eating and sleeping well again, and his psychiatrist was pleased with his quick recovery. My cheerful, loving Kevin was back. He then started looking for a new job. His experience at the big company helped, but finding a job was hard because he left his last job due to mental health issues. During this time, we found a small company that needed him. The salary was about a third of what he used to make, but he was happy to be working again. He said it was much better than being without a job, which made me happy. This job was also in the field he wanted to work in. We wanted to have children, but it was clear that life would be tough if I stopped working, so I continued working. I also loved my job, and we decided not to have children at that time. Since it was just the 3 of us, our life was peaceful until my mother, Sarah, was paralyzed in a car accident and needed a wheelchair to get around. My dad had passed away when I was in middle school, and Sarah had been living alone since then. Our family home was old and not suitable for a wheelchair, with many steps. Kevin then said, "I'm worried, let's live together." Sarah and I were surprised, but I appreciated Kevin's unexpected kindness. Since Kevin had just changed jobs, we were unsure about the future, but we decided to apply for a mortgage. As we expected, it was tough to get a loan because Kevin hadn't been at his job for long. However, we were determined and didn't give up. After trying with several mortgage companies, we finally found one that worked with us and approved our loan. We bought our dream home, which I had always imagined, filled with the smell of wood, thick wooden beams on the ceiling, custom storage spaces, a kitchen tailored for my height, and spacious cypress flooring. Importantly, it was a single-story, barrier-free house, perfect for living comfortably in a wheelchair. We were excited as the house was being built and visited the construction site every day. When our carefully designed home was finished, it had a large yard where my mom, who now seldom went outside, could enjoy sunbathing. However, there was a catch with the land. It was given to us by Kevin's grandfather, who adored Kevin. Kevin's family wasn't wealthy, but when his grandfather was diagnosed with cancer, he started to distribute his assets, giving us the largest plot of land. It felt like winning the lottery, but the land was just a 10-minute walk from Kevin's family home. When we told them my mother would be moving in with us, Kevin's sister laughed and said, "Why is your mother moving in too? How shameless is your family?" Kevin's mother told me marrying someone different like you would bring trouble. She also harshly said it was terrible for her son to have to care for an old person and called me a curse. Even then, Kevin stood up for my mother and me. He said the land was a gift from his grandfather, and no one should complain. Kevin's mother and sister are really mean. It's amazing that Kevin, who is so kind, comes from that family. He's like a beautiful flower that grew out of mud. Kevin always says his family shows him how not to be. Kevin thinks his grandfather gave us the land because he wanted us to take care of his mother in her old age. He also gave other properties away. Kevin's sister got a parking lot that's a 10-minute walk from their home. It's smaller than our land but makes good money from parking fees. Honestly, I would have preferred that, but a gift is still a gift, and we are thankful. Thanks to my grandfather-in-law, we could build our house without paying for the land and used it to help get a loan. When the house was finished, we invited Kevin's mother and sister's family over. The builders told us they had visited the house several times without asking us. They showed up late without apologizing and said, "This is kind of like Grandpa's house, so it's like our house too." Kevin's sister came in with muddy shoes and said the house smelled nice and didn't need air fresheners. She and her husband walked around with muddy shoes, ignoring the slippers we offered. When I suggested they use slippers, she laughed and said it was too much trouble and we could just clean the floor. The visit was uncomfortable from the start, and they didn't bring anything with them. When they saw my mother's room, which is spacious and sunny, Kevin's mother said she would like that room. My mother's room is like a duplex with its own kitchen, almost a second living space. "I want to live here," said my mother-in-law during the third point of her conversation. She then told my mother, "You were lucky to have that accident, weren't you? Thanks to being paralyzed, you moved from that old shack to this nice house. Isn't that a lucky turn of events?" My mother said nothing but looked very sad. I was really angry inside, but before I could say anything, Kevin spoke up. "What'd you just say? There are things you should and shouldn't say. It makes me question your humanity. I can't even believe you're part of my family. You're the worst. Apologize now," Kevin demanded firmly. Whether they were amused or not, my mother and sister-in-law glared at me. Then my sister-in-law angrily asked Kevin, "What's this all about?" "It's a total turnoff. It's not cool to invite people over and then be rude to them just because you built a house. You think you can act superior?" The mother-in-law chimed in, "My son messed up by marrying you. You're a jinx." Kevin didn't stay silent. "Enough is enough. This mess started because of your rude comments. You said the accident was a good thing and called my wife a jinx. I will not forgive that." The mother and sister-in-law looked frustrated by Kevin's strong response. Then my mother, who had been watching everything, said with regret, "It's okay. I am here because of the accident, and it's true I moved from a rundown house to this beautiful one. Your son has always been kind to me. Thank you." Perhaps feeling guilty, the mother and sister-in-law left, giving me a nasty look. My mother then apologized to Kevin. "I'm sorry if I upset your mother and sister. I'm sorry for ruining the mood at our housewarming party." Kevin responded, "No, I should be the one apologizing. It's embarrassing how they lack decency. I'm really sorry, but I am happy to be living with you. Please understand that." With that, my mother started to tear up. Since we live near Kevin's parents' house, the neighbors all know us well. They've known Kevin since he was a child and are very kind to us. 4 months have passed since that day. We were finally settling into our new home, and my mother started to smile more. When I received an unexpected call from home while I was at work, it surprised me. We rarely get calls from home, so it surprised me. My bad feeling was right. My mom, sounding very upset, called to tell me something awful. Kevin had collapsed at work. I was shocked and spoke to my right away. Then I rushed to the hospital. On the way, I tried to stay calm by imagining that Kevin would be okay. When I got there, joking around like always. But when I arrived, it was a shock to see him with so many tubes attached to him. We had plans to go to a movie that weekend. The doctor told me Kevin was in critical condition and might not wake up. I felt like I was in a movie. I couldn't even cry. Despite my prayers, Kevin passed away at the hospital. My shock continued as my mother and sister-in-law arrived when they heard Kevin had died. My sister-in-law accused me harshly, asking if I had poisoned him or if I was after his life insurance. My mother-in-law also blamed me, saying bad things always happen around me and called me a jinx. I was too sad to respond. Then my own mother arrived in a caregiver's taxi, crying over Kevin's death, which finally made me cry too. We both sobbed loudly. My mother-in-law rudely told us to stop the fake crying. She said Kevin had changed because of me and that she didn't want to see us ever again. Then she left the hospital. A funeral director came to organize Kevin's funeral, and we went to the funeral home. Kevin had died from a brain hemorrhage, which was hard to believe since he was fine that morning. When I told my mother-in-law the funeral plans, she hardly said she wouldn't come because Kevin always sided with my mother and me. She said her daughter wouldn't come either. Many of Kevin's co-workers and friends came to the viewing, but neither my mother nor my sister-in-law and her husband were there. Many attended the funeral, and it was clear that Kevin was deeply loved. Many people cried for him. It was hard, but maybe this is just the kind of people his family were. I was happy to spend the whole day with those who truly missed my husband. After Kevin's death, I got an email from my mother-in-law, but it was inappropriate, so I didn't reply. She was asking about the life insurance money and kept emailing because I didn't respond. Eventually, she claimed she had a right to it. I chose to ignore it because I wasn't ready to deal with that. When we got home, I noticed a light on inside, which was odd. My mother, Sarah, was confused and thought we had turned off all the lights. I figured maybe I forgot because I was so upset. I told her it was understandable given the situation, and I unlocked the door. When we entered, we could hear the TV, which was very strange. Inside, we found my sister-in-law and her husband sitting there. I was so shocked I couldn't even speak up. The living room was full of unfamiliar furniture and boxes. We had no idea what was happening. My sister-in-law said, "Why did you just barge in here?" "Well, it's your first time, so I'll let it slide. We're taking this house. We sold your stuff, so leave." My mother and I were completely shocked. I asked where our furniture and belongings had gone, and she casually said a resale company came and took everything, claiming we had good furniture and they got a good price for it. They bought new furniture with that money, saying it wants furniture that a dead person used. It's bad luck. She added that she cared about such things, and our stuff was packed in boxes. She even remarked that we must be minimalists or just poor because we had so few things. The furniture was carefully chosen by my husband, and I couldn't forgive them for this. My mom was furious too, her face turning beet red, but she was too shocked to respond. I immediately called the resale company. After explaining the situation, they agreed to treat the items as stolen and return them. Now that my husband is gone, dealing with this was the last thing I needed. I don't want anything to do with his family, but I do want to stay in the house that's full of memories of him. While I was wrestling with these feelings, my mother quietly said to me, "What do you think Kevin would say if he were here now?" "He might say we should leave. I'm sure he would. Kevin often mentioned it's good to spend time with people who understand you, but there are some people who will never understand, no matter how much you try. It's a waste of time dealing with those people." He was actually talking about his own mother and sister. I realized that if we stayed, his family would keep interfering, acting on impulse. I signed a lease for an accessible apartment. My mom was surprised by how quickly I made that decision. I asked the resale company to hold on to the furniture for a few days, and it was moved to our new apartment. 3 days later, in exchange for moving out, I made my mother-in-law and sister-in-law promise to cut ties with us. So a new life began for just my mother and me in the apartment. It turns out Kevin had many life insurance policies, almost obsessively so. He used to joke, always with a smile, "When I die, you guys will be rich." True to his word, he left enough money for my mother and me to be comfortable for the rest of our lives. Since he couldn't secure a mortgage when we bought the house, I, being employed at a major corporation, bought the house in my name. I made sure that even if something happened to Kevin first, I wasn't going to keep paying a mortgage for a house I wouldn't live in. According to our agreement, the house would be auctioned off if the mortgage wasn't paid for 4 months. Time flew by, and 4 months passed quickly. Then I started receiving a lot of calls from my sister-in-law Emily and my mother-in-law Maria. My call history was filled with their names, and it was getting scary, like something out of a horror movie. They were incredibly persistent, so I finally answered the phone. They were furious because the house was being sold. Apparently, when they tried to return to the house, they found out they couldn't get in because of a seizure notice. Emily and her husband had moved out of their apartment since Kevin passed away, and Emily had also quit her job. I suggested they move back into their parents' house since they were panicking about suddenly being homeless. Surprisingly, Maria had gotten so caught up in gambling that she couldn't keep up and had sold her own house. It turns out they had been living together for the past 5 months. I also heard that they sold their main source of income, a parking lot in front of the train station, a long time ago. Now Maria and Emily's family are completely homeless. When Maria said, "I'm sorry for everything. Let's get along. Can you lend me some money, please?" I replied, "I think it's best if you stay away since I'm a jinx. We're strangers now that we've severed ties." Maria was quiet after mumbling weakly. In my mind, I was thinking, who's the real bad luck charm here? Then when I said I wouldn't lend them a single cent, Emily, who had been listening next to Maria, shouted, "You devil. Bring us the money right now. I am a devil and bad luck, so I'm going to hang up now." I replied and ended the call. In reality, I involved a lawyer for the past 5 months to push for the auction of the house. I thought it was an unusual case, but apparently, it's not that uncommon. The house was sold without any major issues, giving our family a moment of peace. We plan to find a new home with the money Kevin left us. Since it's just my mother and me, we don't need a big house. We'd rather prioritize security as 2 women living together. So I chose a condominium with minimal noise disturbance. I remember something my husband always said when we built our home. People can get energy from the sun. So let's create a place where the mother-in-law can enjoy her hobby of reading in the garden without feeling self-conscious. With those words, he had made a spacious courtyard for her. It's heartening to hear that you found a condominium with a spacious balcony where your mother-in-law can enjoy her coffee and reading. While the new place may be smaller than your previous home, it's comforting to know that you're able to keep some of the furniture your husband likely chose. The sale of the house, which was on the expansive land gifted by Kevin's grandfather, fetched more than expected, providing a solid financial foundation for your family's future. The decision to invest in a luxurious condominium with top-notch security features is a testament to your late husband's cautious nature, and it undoubtedly brings you a sense of peace in the wake of the tumultuous events involving your in-laws. Since Kevin's passing, life has taken a dramatic turn, and navigating the fallout from his family's actions has been emotionally draining. Following the auction of the house, Maria and Emily found themselves without a place to live and ended up in public housing. Despite their efforts to secure financial assistance, they've resorted to disruptive behaviors, such as hosting barbecues on their small balcony, which have left the community incredulous. These actions, coupled with frequent loud arguments, highlight their disregard for others' comfort and the challenges they face in adjusting to their new circumstances. With Emily's husband having left, she and Maria are now facing these challenges on their own. It's a difficult situation, but it's clear that you've made the right choice in prioritizing your own peace and security as you move forward with your mother in your new home. Your reflections are deeply poignant and resonate with a sense of closure and determination to move forward. The stark contrast between the peaceful sanctuary you've created with your mother and the turmoil your former family is experiencing serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of one's actions. It's evident that you found solace in creating a tranquil haven where you and your mother can feel safe and secure, free from drama and disruptions. Despite the challenges you faced, you remain committed to honoring Kevin's memory by living a life filled with positivity and peace. Your decision to focus on living authentically and compassionately reflects a deep understanding of what truly matters in life. As you navigate this new chapter, guided by Kevin's spirit of kindness and resilience, you're determined to live in a way that would make him proud. Your journey of resilience, growth, and honoring Kevin's legacy serves as an inspiration to cherish the moments of silence, savor the memories, and embrace the beauty of living well. As you continue on this path, may you find comfort and strength in the love and laughter you shared with Kevin, and may your chosen sanctuary continue to be a source of peace and joy in your life.
I recently became a parent. Jessica, the person who took Michael away from me by pretending to be pregnant, sent me a message demanding a $5,000 baby shower gift. Even though I've moved on and remarried, Jessica's presence still bothers me. Despite being my sister, she hasn't changed and continues to cause trouble without any concern. John, a friend, suggested we attend the celebration, and I reluctantly agreed, trusting that he has a plan to deal with Jessica's antics. While Jessica may find it amusing now, I believe she'll face consequences for her actions soon. As for me, my name is John Johnson, and I work as an office assistant in a local company. Shifting to a different story, I've been dating someone since my college days. I met Michael Smith, a medical student, through club activities. He comes from a family of allergy specialists, and his father's clinic is well known across the country. Initially, I thought Michael was just a smart and wealthy guy due to his family background. But as we got to know each other, I discovered his uniqueness. We bonded over our shared interest in a film director's work, and my initiative to invite him to a movie paid off. He began to see me as someone special. Our relationship extended beyond college, and Michael proposed when I was 25. He shared his aspiration to become a great doctor, eventually taking over his dad's clinic. Excitedly, he asked me to be part of this journey with him, and I gladly accepted. Pregnant shortly after our wedding, I was elated, believing Michael would be an excellent father. The baby's health was my primary concern, regardless of gender. However, my joy turned to despair when severe morning sickness hit me hard. Constant nausea forced me to resign from my job, and I found solace in eating to combat the sickness. The house became a mess with snack wrappers and bread bags scattered around. Returning home one day, Michael expressed his disappointment about the chaotic state of our home and my apparent weight gain. I explained that the morning sickness compelled me to eat constantly. Instead of empathy, he cruelly compared me to a pig that had given up on staying slim, laughing mockingly at my struggle. Shocked by his insensitivity, I clung to the hope that he would return to his kind self after the baby's birth, but that hope too would soon be shattered. One day, my sister Jessica paid a visit. "Hey, Naomi, you're here. Place looks a bit chaotic though. Sorry about the mess." "No worries. I'm used to it. It's like a second home." Jessica, my sister, appeared before me, worn out and struggling with morning sickness. Despite her occasional visits, I was too unwell to entertain her properly. Hoping for a distraction, I started a conversation, sharing the news that it seemed the baby in my belly was a girl. "Wow, didn't know you were already thinking about dressing up and shopping. Does Michael know?" "Yep, it's going to be a girl." I told Michael right away. "I dream of wearing matching outfits with my child." "Jessica, you've always been stylish. I'll count on your advice when the time comes." Jessica turned around, smiling meaningfully. "That's right. Michael is still a rookie doctor, but he'll eventually take over the family clinic." "Stop it, Jessica. That's too harsh. You really have a sharp tongue." Jessica is sarcastic and sometimes hits hard with her words. As her younger sister, I've grown used to it, but it can be tough when I'm unwell. Jessica quickly switched back to her usual smile. "Sorry, slipped into my usual mode. So Naomi, anything bothering you lately?" "Well, Michael's been coming home late. As a doctor, it's unavoidable. But he's at the hospital all the time, even on weekends. We hardly have time to talk these days." "I see. Not surprising for someone claiming to be a doctor's wife like you." Jessica's icy smile sent a chill down my spine. "Well, I came to talk to you today." As she spoke, Jessica glanced toward the living room door, and entering from there was Michael. "Michael, did you finish work early at the hospital today? We need to talk. Let's get a divorce." "What kind of joke is this? What do you mean?" As soon as I returned home, Michael's words confused me. I knew he wasn't the type to make a terrible joke, especially given our long relationship since college and the fact that I was carrying his child. "Look, your beloved husband is saying this. You should listen to his request and let go quickly." Jessica's shocking statement left me in disbelief. Michael awkwardly looked at me. "I can't see you as a woman anymore after you kept eating and gaining weight. But this is morning sickness. I feel sick if I don't eat." Jessica triumphantly stared at me. "That's the way it is. And the baby in your belly, being a girl, won't be the heir to the Smith Clinic." But I carried Michael's child in my belly, a suitable heir. I felt a sinking feeling as Jessica lovingly stroked her belly. "I'm 3 months pregnant, and it's a boy, according to the tests." "You can't be serious. I just had a baby. What are you doing while I'm going through all this pain? Your excuses, quitting your job, and just eating all the time are unacceptable. I'm tired of watching you lying around, constantly eating snacks. I take care of myself, so I don't have morning sickness even when pregnant. I won't lose my self-control and eat like a pig, unlike you." I was at a loss for words, seeing Jessica's smug face and Michael looking down at the floor, guilt-ridden. While I didn't know about Jessica being pregnant with a boy, as an heir, I wanted a son. I value a beautiful wife like Jessica over someone who indiscriminately gains weight. Isn't that just a desire for an heir, while a beautiful wife is your own selfish preference? "I'll pay alimony, so let's part without any fuss." Witnessing Michael's apology, I realized that our relationship could never return to its former state. Following the divorce, I became a single mother and gave birth to our daughter. Unfortunately, Michael's promise of alimony turned out to be mere words with no actual financial support. After childbirth, I had to work to make ends meet since I had no one to rely on. Unsure of my options, I took a job at a nearby department store that was hiring. Life took an unexpected turn, and my hard work and character caught the attention of John Johnson, a highly regarded manager in the external sales department. "Tough day. You're always working hard." "Thanks. I'm about to finish up soon." "Are you done for the day, John?" "Yeah. Oh, there's this great Italian place nearby. I want you to try, Naomi. And this, it's a little gift for your daughter." Through casual conversations, our connection grew, leading to dating and eventually our remarriage. Naomi, I might be a guy 20 years older than you, but I sincerely want to make you and your daughter happy. Will you marry me? Are you sure about me? I'd be delighted. Life after remarriage was truly blissful, a kind husband, and my daughter and I enjoyed a peaceful life. However, I failed to notice the ominous footsteps approaching our tranquil days. One day, while Jan was at work and I had some time off, an email arrived. It was from Jessica, and the content was shocking. A baby is born. I'm expecting a $5,000 baby shower gift. A gasp escaped me as I read that abrupt email. Memories flooded back from 5 years ago when Jessica had an affair with Michael and took him away. Now this, asking for a $5,000 baby shower gift, seemed excessive. I couldn't forget that day, the expressions on Jessica and Michael's faces. Their disregard for my suffering from morning sickness was unforgivable. Uncertain about how to respond to Jessica's email, John returned from work, sensing something was amiss. Concerned, he asked, "What's wrong, Naomi? You look pale." "Oh, John, it's a message from my sister. She had a baby. The sister who married your ex-husband, Michael." "Yeah, I don't want to see her face or hear from her. Plus, she's asking for a $5,000 baby shower gift." As John listened and glanced at my phone, he suddenly said, "Wait, this Jessica Smith name, you know her? I didn't mention her when we got married because I didn't want to remember." "Yeah, I've never been introduced to her by you, but I wonder." John, contemplating while looking at the email, seemed to recall something. "We didn't properly greet her during our wedding, so let's visit her now. Also, I just remembered something I needed to do back at the department store." He quickly prepared to leave. Going back to the department store now. "Sorry, there's something I need to do." A few hours later, John returned with a thick file. "Is it okay if we visit your sister, Jessica, 2 weeks from now on Sunday? We both had the day off, and I'd like her to meet my parents and cousins too." "Your parents and cousins too?" Jessica loves being the center of attention, so she'll probably be fine. But why? "I've heard your ex-husband, Michael, is famous for allergy treatment. My family has a history of allergies. Thought we might get some good advice." I remembered hearing from friends that Michael had taken over his father's allergy clinic. Michael's dad was an authority on allergy treatment, and Michael became an allergist too. A friend told me. "Okay, I'll contact Jessica." Jessica quickly agreed when I contacted her. "I want to see the baby and will bring a gift. Can I bring some relatives too? They really want to meet you." "Of course, the more guests, the more gifts. Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks on Sunday." 2 weeks later, on Sunday, I visited Jessica's house with John, his parents, and relatives, including his cousins. In a quiet residential area, her stylish house stood next to the clinic, its white walls gleaming. John's parents and relatives were surprised by its luxurious design, excited to meet the renowned allergist. "Welcome. I've been waiting for you." "Long time no see, Jessica. You look happy." "Of course. I was worried about my first child's birth, but it all worked out in the end." I felt something off in Jessica's words. "First childbirth? Didn't you say you were pregnant with a boy before?" "Oh, did I not tell you? I miscarried that time, so this is my first." John, standing beside me, nodded meaningfully. Seeing John's face, Jessica started to tremble. "Oh, hello. Nice to meet you." "Hello, you must be Naomi's sister. I've heard a bit about the miscarriage." "Yes, but I don't want to remember the miscarriage." Jessica turned her face away in a huff and started to walk off. "Sorry about that." "Oh, there's something I wanted to give you, Jessica." "What? Something for me?" Jan handed her an envelope. It's pastel colored, and the word congratulations written on it, thick enough to be noticeable even from the side. "Here you go. I wanted to give this to Jessica personally. Got it right? Just what I've been waiting for." I glanced at John and whispered to him, "Hey, we aren't rich, and we don't have to give Jessica the $5,000 she asked for." But John, unfazed, cut me off. "It's fine. Trust me." You'll understand if you watch. What do you mean if I watch? While we were talking about the envelope, Jessica had already started opening it. I need to check if it's exactly $5,000. With this thickness, it might even be $10,000. The cute envelope was torn open with a ripping sound. Jessica's face clouded over the moment she opened it. What's this? John stepped forward with a salesperson's smile to explain. Mrs. Jessica Smith, this is a detailed statement of your purchases at the department store over the past 5 years. You said to put it on my tab, and this is the amount you've accumulated to date. What are you talking about? I don't know anything about this. Jessica held a statement listing names of luxury watches and brand bags. Seeing the 5-digit figure in the amount column, I was in disbelief. Indeed, Mr. Michael Smith himself and his parents are valued customers with an external sales card contract. However, with such a high amount, we needed to confirm, just to be sure. My husband is the famous allergist Michael Smith. As the wife of the clinic's director, using 1 or 2 external sales cards is nothing, is that so? Also, there's something else I personally wanted to verify. John paused before continuing. About 5 years ago, we had complaints about a customer flaunting their external sales card and making extremely unpleasant remarks. Do you know anything about this? What's that? What does it matter? Since we had several complaints, I checked with the staff who were nearby at the time. The content of the conversation was so terrible that the staff remembered it clearly. Glancing sideways, I saw Jessica's expression harden. The staff said the conversation was about stealing someone's husband, who happens to be her brother-in-law. Could it be? Yes, that's right. And she bragged about using a fake pregnancy to break them up, laughing loudly. She talked about how she lied about miscarrying like it was some kind of heroic tale. That's when I realized that time, Jessica's claim of being pregnant with a boy, the hair, was all a lie to snatch Michael. Of course, there was no pregnancy, so no morning sickness or changes in her body shape. What are you saying? That story was about me? Matching the complaints with the external sales card, your name, Jessica Smith, came up. I can't believe this. You are marrying into a doctor's family, becoming the clinic director's wife. I couldn't stand it. I had to do whatever it took to tell Michael that I was the right one for him. I couldn't believe that Michael had fallen for Jessica's scheme, and she had lied to marry him. While I was in shock, the door opened. What's this all about? Explain yourself, Jessica. Since when have you been here? From the beginning, I came back to get something I forgot and found the external sales card statement. And now, I hear the pregnancy 5 years ago was all a lie. You trapped me, Michael shouted, and Jessica began to laugh. So what? You got a beautiful wife, and we have a child now, so it's fine, right? Don't joke with me. I can't live with a liar like you. Let's get a divorce. You can't be serious. What about our child? Don't you feel sorry for them? Pushing her away, Michael glared at Jessica with a furious expression. I can't live with a liar and reckless spender like you. It's not good for the child either. We're getting a divorce. I'm taking custody. Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea what I went through to give birth to this child? This child needs to become a doctor in the future to support us. You're just thinking about yourself. There's no point in talking about this now. Let's handle the rest through a lawyer. The relatives who came along hoping to get some effective medicine from the famous allergist were frozen in shock at this chaotic scene. I was so embarrassed to admit that she was my sister. Afterward, Michael got a good lawyer specializing in divorce and successfully got divorced and won custody. Meanwhile, Jessica, who had been shopping to her heart's content on credit using the external sales card during her marriage, was now being chased for repayments. Hey, if your husband hadn't brought that statement, I'd still be the clinic director's wife. I'm being hounded for repayments now. Help your sister out in a pinch, will you? Why should I? You brought this on yourself, didn't you? And you should pay for your own shopping. Unexpectedly, I got a message from Michael via social media. Hey, can we start over? If Jessica hadn't lied about having a boy 5 years ago, we would have been fine as a couple. I want to see our daughter too. I have forgotten how you left me suffering with morning sickness and mocked me, then cheated on me. After 5 years of no contact, the last thing I wanted was to see his face again. Michael seemed to be struggling to keep the clinic he inherited from his father running, but he couldn't stop gossip due to the infidelity rumors. Patients stopped coming to the Smith Clinic, which Michael inherited, had a 1-star rating, and unbelievably bad reviews on a hospital review site. It seemed only a matter of time before he would have to close the clinic. He was so fixated on inheriting, ironically. He was so obsessed with having a male heir. My husband, daughter, and I continue to live happily as a family. Naomi, are you ready? Shall we head out soon? Yes, I was just remembering how delicious the spaghetti you brought me from that restaurant was back when I was a single mother. Jen used to order from a restaurant for takeout as a way to approach me back then. My daughter was small, and since we weren't dating, we never ate at the restaurant, just as colleagues. You had just gotten divorced and were having a hard time, right? I thought even a little bit of delicious food could bring you happiness. It was your kindness that drew me to you, the dish that brought us together. Back then, it was just my daughter and me eating takeout, but now it's different. I'm happy that we can eat together as a family. Who would have thought that a day like this, going out with you and our daughter, would come?